rehabilitation.
There was this report that you were arrested at the airport, having arrived from a UN program. That was not true.
Those were some of the fabrications. And I was never arrested at the airport. I was arrested when I reported formally to the BNI with my lawyer.
So they read your rights and then arrested you formally?
They never even, those are some of the problems challenges that I have with the BNI. They never read any rights to me. We entered interrogation room, no rights were administered to me, and they started interrogation.
But they told you that you were under arrest?
They never said that.
Did they place you in, did they put handcuffs on your?
No, they didn't place handcuffs on me.
So there was never a time in the 4 years that you had handcuffs on?
No.
Okay. Now, when you went to this BNI place, they allowed you to go inside with your lawyer?
They allowed me to go inside with my lawyer. And then we entered the interrogation room. They had arranged the chairs, and they asked me to sit down in the middle whilst others sat around. And they started the interrogation without administering any caution. Was it on,
when I watch movies and they interrogate people, they may have a camera there that is recording. Was there a camera recording the proceedings? Or was it
I didn't see any camera, but I knew it was being recorded.
Okay.
And as an experienced police officer, I knew that even the recording was being watched from other places.
Okay. So you knew what you were doing. And were you uncomfortable with that interrogation? Because you had a lawyer, that's all right?
Not just because I had a lawyer. Whether I had a lawyer or not, I was going to say what I did, I said. But having my lawyer there was very important for me, because then it will not be, I will not be said to have confessed something that I did not confess.
Did they resist the presence of your lawyer?
They tried to do it in a subtle manner.
Okay.
But I resisted it.
That you must have your lawyer with you.
They wanted to separate me from my lawyer, and I insisted that until they decided not to, to detain me and not to let me go home, my lawyer was going to be with me.
So at what point did they decide to detain you? Did they detain you on that day, or you were made to go?
They detained me on that day. After the interrogation, then they asked me to go and submit a statement. That was when the caution words were administered.
Okay.
But I can tell you that it was wrong, because even interrogation, caution words must be administered. Because you are questioning me over an alleged crime. And therefore, that practice is with the BNI, and we must begin to question that, because they do interrogation without administering caution.
Okay. So they placed you in custody after that interrogation that day?
Definitely after my interrogation, and then statements after my interrogation. They asked me to write an ordinary statement. I wrote the ordinary statement. Somebody came to read it, went and did consultation, came back and asked that I should write statement on caution. So 2 statements that evening. So I wrote the statement on caution, and then they were not even ready to tell me that I was being detained. The only thing I actually, okay, let me put it this way. They began to ask me, will you need food? Do you need some water? I said no. Will you need food? I said no. Then I told my lawyer, these people want to detain me. That's why they're asking these questions. But they must be bold enough to tell me. And then I asked the guy, if you want to detain me, tell me straightforward that you want to detain me. Then that was the only time that he was bold enough to tell me, well, unfortunately, you may not be going home.
Around what time was this?
That was around 8 or 9 thereabouts.
And you had gone there what time?
I'd gone there around 1 or 2 thereabouts.
So you spent like 6 hours, 7 hours?
6 to 7 hours.
Then they said, prepare, you are going to spend the night here.
Yes, so...
Did they take you out of the BNI installation to another holding place, or you were detained in the BNI cells?
Well, I was detained at the BNI headquarters.
Was that your first... Okay, did you enter cells, or you were put at counterback, or they were put you in an office or in a bedroom?
I was put in a custody.
Was it a cell?
Yes, it was a cell. It's a cell. It's a cell.
Like the cells we know in police stations?
Yeah, it's a cell we know in the police service. Except that in that night, at least, we were only 2 in that cell.
You were 2?
Yes.
Was that your first time in a cell in your life?
First time ever.
In a cell?
Yes, please.
Okay, what was going through your head? I'm sure you didn't know the guy you met in there.
I didn't know the guy I met that night.
Hold on a second. When they put people in police cells, and forgive me, I have to be graphic, they strip everything, they're just in their boxer shorts.
Oh, yeah.
Was that how you were treated?
That's exactly how I was treated. I had to put off everything that I was wearing, and then...
and remain in your boxer shorts?
They gave us some boxer shorts, which were just dumped somewhere, and then they just give you one to wear. I'm wondering whether it was even washed. I cannot remember, but the way it was just picked from a basket or something.
Given to you to wear.
Just wear.
At this time, you were an assistant commissioner of police in the Ghana Police Service.
Yes.
That's like a very high rank, right? Just 2 steps from IGP. Right? I just want to be, just for education purpose, because from ACP you go to DCOP, COP, which is IGP essentially.
Let me clarify this, and I believe that a very senior officer clarified this some time ago. From assistant commissioner, anybody can be appointed.
Okay, so you could actually be, you could have been IGP from that level.
Anybody.
Okay, I just trying to show your level.
I just also want
But were you treated with respect by the officers handling you, your detention?
Well, I will say that the officers who handled me did their best. But that was how they ought to act, and therefore they had to strip me, they had to ensure that they collected everything from me.
Your PhD is in what? Human rights?
Human rights and politics.
Do you think your human rights were respected that night?
That night, my human rights were violated in several respects. But I don't know whether we should go into that, but...
I'll be happy if you want to share.
No, definitely you cannot just strip me in that manner and give me anything to wear, something, because of course when they arrested me they had every opportunity to go with me to search my house, take clothes and bring me back.
Is that what the law says?
Well, that is what ought to be. You have arrested somebody who is alleged to have abetted the highest crime of the land. You accuse me of paying money to support alleged coup. The worst case scenario, you should go to my house, check my checks, do a few checks, even to the bank, check my account, even to the extent that you could even freeze my account. They never did any of those things.
No, just on the specific issue of what happened to you that night. If you had your way,
yes,
they should have taken you home to pick fresh clothes that you would spend the night in.
No, we are talking in general terms.
I know. So
you are asking whether my rights were violated. And I'm beginning to tell you how I was stripped naked.
Yes.
I was not wearing anything.
So my point to you is that we do know that rights have limits in certain circumstances.
Definitely, I agree.
So under that circumstance, do you agree that your right was limited?
My
your right of movement was limited?
Definitely my rights were limited. Once you are under arrest, you have been restricted.
So then what they did was not wrong.
It doesn't mean, then you would as well say that they could strip me naked. And they were not wrong. There are limits to everything. Even in enforcing the law, you have a limit to what you can do.
You see, because you have been a senior police officer, and this happens in police stations all the time, where people are just locked up in their boxer shorts. That's why I was able to say that. Now, you would say that that is the standard operating procedure.
Let me tell you something.
Yes.
When I was sent to, remember I spent just about 5 days at the BNI cells, and then I was sent to the police cells. I had my singlet on. Not only me, others in the cells had their singlet.
You mean at the police cell?
Yes, at the police cells.
But at BNI, it was just the underwear?
Just the underwear.
The shorts?
And maybe that's the shorts I'm talking about. Some shorts, that's it. And then there was TV there for people to watch. There was time there for people to look at it and to know the time. People could make calls.
In police cells?
Not in police cells. The police will assist you to make your calls
but
to
in
your
BNI
relatives.
Cells, no?
No, nothing like that.
So BNI perhaps operates differently than the police?
Well, is that what they ought to do? That's the point.
When you spend your first nights, I don't know how you sleep. Do you sleep on your back, on your side?
Let me say that when I slept
at the
BNI, I slept very well.
You were able to?
I'm telling you, I slept very well. The reason was this. I slept with a very good conscience. I knew I hadn't done anything, and I began to plan what I should do. Nice. Because already I had seen that I had been arrested, I had been detained. My only worry was with my family.
You were comfortable in that place?
I wasn't comfortable, but I slept well because my conscience was alive, and I slept well.
Was it a bed or he slept on the bed?
There was a mattress there. There was no blanket.
No
there
bed
was
bags?
Nothing. No. There was no.
Okay.
There were no bed bags.
No blanket. You were not feeling
No,
cold?
no, I didn't have any blanket. I don't remember having any blanket. I just slept.
For 5 days, that's how it was?
That's how I slept.
Food was being brought, but
Food
you
was
rejected.
being brought, but I didn't eat.
You rejected it?
Yeah, I rejected it. I didn't eat.
Because you were suspicious that they would poison you?
That's not exactly so. I didn't trust them.
You didn't trust them?
Yes. Not poisoning, but I didn't trust the BNI to the extent that I could eat their food, especially when they could just fabricate stories and want to put you in cells and all kinds of things that they did. So
you were an old man as of that night, but did you break down at any point and cried? Did you weep like a baby in the midnight when you were in that cell? I couldn't have cried.
I told you I slept very well.
Maybe the second day?
I began to think of... I saw that thing as an opportunity to begin to tell the stories that I'm telling today and to begin to put into writing the whole thing, the whole story.
What was occupying your mind? Did you have a book that you were reading? Did you have something you were writing? What was occupying you in that cell with just two people? I
began to reflect upon this whole thing and began to see where it was coming from, why they were doing what they were doing, and I began to understand who could be behind this whole thing.
But you were not bored?
I wasn't bored.
You were not whistling, singing, dancing, nothing?
I don't remember, but I could be humming some songs because I didn't want to disturb anybody, but I was prayerful at the time, seriously.
So you must have been praying as well?
I must have been praying. I was praying, not I must have been praying. I was really praying.
When did your cellie leave you, your cellmate? Or he was there till you left after that?
Well, he was there till I left, and he's still been there. I met him in court a few days ago. He has never been granted bail.
A few days ago?
A few weeks before.
Okay.
A few weeks before
okay.
our. Yeah.
Okay,
and I know he's still there. He's not been granted bail.
Still in BNI custody?
Yes.
Did you get his name?
Maybe if I remember, I wouldn't want to mention it.
Okay. And do you know what he was standing? Was being locked for?
It's in respect of this Afoko case.
I see, Paul Afoko.
Yes.
This is Face to Face on City TV. My name is Omaru Sandamado. My guest, ACP Benjamin Agordzo. We're just walking through his first time in BNI cells over allegations that he was trying to overthrow the constitution. You do know that the courts of the land have since told him to go home and be a free and a happy man. He has been acquitted. The people he was standing trial with, though, have been sent to prison. They're supposed to be hanged. We don't know if that will be executed or not.